Hi, welcome back to our podcast today. Today we are talking about food swaps. How can we switch out some different foods to help with gallbladder issues, blood sugar problems, and inflammation? And it's funny, a lot of the same foods that help with one help with all. A lot of times people will say, well, I thought I had this, but now I have that. But actually, it doesn't matter what your label is for a lot of these things. We just have to get to the underlying cause, and it's usually the same thing. So, how are you today, Daniel?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm doing a cleanse with my group, which you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just kicked it up a notch, and I'm starting to have some detox symptoms, some breakouts on my nose, and even my liver feels itchy, which I know I'm doing the right thing.
Oh yeah.
Definitely want to get this out of me.
Yes.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, even somebody like you that does a lot of cleanses and you still have toxins because
Right.
I mean, you can't get away from them. So
Mm-mm.
you're
No.
exposed to them all the time.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, anybody can see what I eat every day. I eat
Yeah.
real, whole, clean foods. And, we grow a lot of our own foods too. And we buy organic as often as we can. We live in the middle of nowhere. And so it's 22 miles to the big grocery store. That's one
Yeah.
way. And they don't always have a lot of organic. It's even that grocery store is pretty pathetic. And so we don't always buy all organic, but we do the best we can. We do distill our water, which is nice and clean, and
Yeah.
other things like that. But we live in the real world. We're breathing the same dirty air, and I'm glad our water's clean. But like even our like we built our own kitchen, but even the stuff you use to seal the countertops and all that, you just wonder. And clothes. Like right now, I'm wearing this shirt that's not a natural fiber, this little
Yeah.
sweatshirt thing. And so I know underneath I have a all cotton shirt, but
Yeah. Your clothes, even your bed sheets, your blankets, your mattresses. It's
yes, yes.
so I mean, it's so important to do cleanses, just
Yes. Oh, and I even have I have a filling, like I broke a tooth and I even have a filling. I
yeah.
forgot. I had that since my last deep cleanse. I
Uh-huh.
bet I'm kicking some of that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is it a Watt filling or
yeah, it is white.
okay,
Right.
that's better than the mercury. So
Yeah, it's ceramic, but they still like you can smell all the different odors when they're working, and some of the
oh
stuff,
yeah.
you feel it hitting the back of your throat, and you're like, oh, what am I swallowing? What is
Oh yeah, the
this?
last filling I got, I could smell glue. They're using glue. Oh no.
Yes. Yes, yes. And my husband, because we have a farm, he uses that glue, PVC pipe glue,
Yeah.
and that's what it smelled like. It smelled just
Uh-huh.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm breathing it. So those fumes are going straight to the brain. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm also swallowing that liquid or it's getting absorbed. Like I was thinking about the mouth and how it absorbs everything. And so while I was laying there, I was thinking about the toxins getting absorbed directly right there in my mouth. Even if they're using that little sucky thing, a
Yeah.
lot of it is going into my bloodstream out of my
Exactly.
control.
I know, but you're getting it out now.
Yes. Yes. But I do eat as clean as I can.
Oh yeah.
And it has taken me a long time. It was when I first started trying to eat clean. And one of the biggest things was trying to find good food swaps, some alternatives to our a lot of our favorite foods. Before we moved here, and for those of you who don't know my background story, you can go back and listen to it. But we knew when I got sick that we were going to buy a farm, grow our own food, and teach people how to eat healthy foods and how to change their foods. But before we left, I was like, I have gotten to learn how to cook all of our favorite foods because I knew we were moving to the middle of nowhere. We need good, delicious foods because we left a city that was like a restaurant mecca. It was
Oh,
delicious cuisines, lots of different ethnic foods, and lots of variety. And I wanted to make sure that we weren't missing that because I am a foodie.
yeah, yeah, me too.
Gotta have my food. One of the was trying to think of one of the hardest things for me was probably um breads.
Mm,
Um
yeah.
I remember, I think it was after yeah, it was after my second child. So my second child, that doctor was, I guess these days you would call him a functional pediatrician. He's gone now. Unfortunately, he died right after COVID started. But he was very much into herbs first, natural remedies first. And my daughter had trouble with breast milk, and the doctor told me that I needed to go off gluten and dairy. And this was many years ago. And so for a medical doctor to tell
Yeah.
you to go off gluten and dairy was amazing. But I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what if I cut out gluten and dairy? I can't eat anything. And so I
Yeah.
had no idea what to eat. And so I can completely relate to anybody else in this situation. And so I wasn't able to do it. I mean, I wish I could. I wanted to do whatever I could for my child, but I really had I was like, there's nothing for me to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, gluten and dairy were probably the hardest things. For my husband, it was cheese, and that didn't even happen until 2017. But that's dairy. So there we
Yeah.
go.
Well, the cheese is the issue. A lot of people that I talk to, they're like, well, I could go plant-based, but I don't think I can give up cheese, you know? It's like, well,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
remember at the time when we decided to give up cheese. So I wasn't a really big cheese person. Like, I know some
Yeah.
people love macaroni and cheese. Here I am, born and raised in the South. Mac and cheese is huge. Not a fan.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
have a
that's
little taste, but no. And people go to restaurants and order this wedge of macaroni and cheese. Blah.
yeah.
That's boring.
Yeah. Not to mention horrible for you.
Yes. Heart attack on a plate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
They'll make you gain weight really fast too.
and it's usually you can see the grease and stuff coming out of
Uh-huh.
it. Ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I remember when we decided to completely give up cheese, even though I wasn't a cheese lover, we still had cheese at least once every day. And it was really hard to think of meals that didn't have cheese. It was like, so we had grits, we would have cheese grits
Yeah.
or cheese toast back when we ate bread, or even when we ate gluten-free bread, cheese toast,
Yeah.
sandwich. You can't have a sandwich without cheese. What do you do about pizza? What do you do about Parmesan cheese on your spaghetti?
I know.
Yeah, tacos, burritos, you name it. The
It
only thing
is
that didn't
crazy.
Yeah, the only thing that didn't have cheese was Chinese food or Japanese food, pretty much.
Yeah, it's so prevalent in the American diet. They put it on
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, so much cheese. So that was probably the hardest. So a lot of times people ask me, what cheese should I buy or what, and you don't. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you
No.
can, but if you read the ingredients before you buy a plant-based cheese, flip over that bag and read the ingredients. The list is so long. And so you're not replacing an inflammatory food with a healthy food.
No.
No, it's probably going to create even more inflammation. No telling what all is in there. There's usually lots of gums and fillers and things like that. You may be able to find a plant-based one. There are some brands that are cleaner than others. I've seen some
Yeah.
yogurts that are a little bit cleaner than others, but usually they have gums and fillers in there too. And a lot of them have added sugars.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so you do have to be really careful. So instead of replacing cheese, it's better to replace the whole meal.
Yeah.
And that's hard. For me, switching to plant-based, it like sparked this creativity. It was like, wait a minute, there are all of these foods. What can I do with them? And one of the easiest things for me to do was to make like bowls. That is still one of the easiest things to do. Roast a bunch of different vegetables,
Yes.
cook up some quinoa or some rice, and then throw on some beans or peas or tofu, whatever.
Yeah.
Make a sauce.
Yeah. It is one of the easiest things. I do that a lot because it's delicious and it's nutritious.
Right. Right. And another key is to fill your plate with colors. It's
Mhm.
like if you look at your plate, if you look at the standard American diet, well, we'll talk about some of my previous clients. Breakfast was a chicken biscuit for breakfast. So you have
Yeah.
some yellow and brown on a plate. There's no
Mhm.
colors.
Mhm.
There's no fruits and vegetables. There's nothing healthy there. And so what can we do for breakfast? Well, going from a sausage biscuit or a chicken biscuit to overnight oats is going to be quite a change for you. but there has to be something else that you like, that you can eat that can be quick and easy and not go through the drive-through. Some people eat grits. I don't eat corn, but if even grits can be highly processed, and so you want
Oh
to
yeah.
be really careful. And luckily, we have a place nearby that grinds grits for you from the corn, and so it's definitely closer to a whole food. But and corn is a whole food, grits is not a whole food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fancy grits coming out in Publix in my area. They have like stone ground grits and heirloom grits, and they're better.
Hmm.
They're still processed, but it's better than a chicken biscuit to start with.
Yes, yes, yes. Right. Yeah, and you don't have to go 100%. My motto is progress over perfection.
Oh yeah, I've had people that try to go cold turkey, and most people who try to go cold turkey
It's too
fail
much work.
miserably because you can't. It's most people can't do that.
Yeah, it's too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's think of some breakfast things that you can do.
All right.
So yogurt, you could
Yeah.
always make your own yogurt, or make sure you read the backs. You don't want any that have added sugars or especially added coloring, like the children's like Yoplait. No, I shouldn't name any labels, but if you read, I mean, if it has a red coloring or blue coloring or added
Yeah.
sugar, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can look
And
at the
even
label, say it'll have food dyes,
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it that when you buy from the stores, it was made with some bacteria, but by the time you buy it, the bacteria is pretty low. And so a lot of people eat it thinking that's their probiotic, but
Yeah.
you really aren't getting a lot of probiotics from the yogurt.
Yeah.
I really do like overnight oats. Lately, I've just been doing a seed gruel. That could be really quite a change for somebody too. I know a lot of people like smoothies.
Mhm.
And smoothies can be great, but not really quick with a straw.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately that's what a lot of people do. I could eat a huge smoothie. I could probably drink a 64-ounce smoothie through a straw.
Yeah, me too. You were talking about smoothie bowls, something that would, like you have some smoothie ingredients and you have some whole fruits and it slows you down.
Yes, and then you get full faster.
Mhm.
Yes, so that's what I like to do. So make a fairly small smoothie and pour it into your bowl, and then add some fruits and nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
It's really important to add your omega-3 fats.
Yeah.
For inflammation, especially as we've been discussing gallbladder issues, blood sugar issues, inflammation. Omega-3s are really your key.
Yeah.
If you have something like diverticulitis, sometimes you have to watch seeds, you grind them up, put them in a coffee grinder and grind them really small, and then add them. And they thicken it up, make it more like a shake. And then they also add so many anti-inflammatories. So their omega-3s are walnuts, flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds. You could stir in a little chlorella or spirulina. Those are algae that are DHA. Your body, it transforms the nutrients from the walnuts, hemp, chia, and flax to DHA, which is already not DHEA. Don't get those confused. DHA, which so you kind of skip a step, so it's even better processed, the chlorella and spirulina. I don't like the way they taste, but if I put like a quarter of a teaspoon in, it makes it a beautiful color. So you can get like green, and you use this bright green smoothie that you can just give it a funny name. It's my monster smoothie or something. Or you can even get blue, and the blue. Have you seen the blue spirulina?
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful. I don't have any. I need to get some. But
Yeah.
so you make a small smoothie with your omega-3s, pour it in a bowl, and then top it with some nuts and seeds. And we like frozen fruit. People say, well, is frozen fruit healthy? Yes.
Yeah.
If you can get fruit in season, then that organically grown, of course, that is good. That's great. But if it's fruit that's been sitting on the supermarket shelves, it's been sitting there for a while, the vitamins have started to degrade, frozen fruit could be a better choice for you. They pick it right at peak ripeness, so it is perfect. They pick it and then they flash freeze it,
Yeah.
and then you buy it. And so it hasn't had time to sit out and degrade. And so sometimes frozen fruit can be better. And berries are usually what we use. You can get like a triple berry mix. Right now I'm into raspberries. I was really into the wild blueberries. Love
Yes.
those
Uh,
for a long time. Now, when this airs, it will be berry season. And so get those fresh, ripe berries. And when this is airing, yeah, whatever's in season, see seasonally or use fresh, we use frozen.
yeah, I think frozen things when you have to use them, I think they can retain nutrients for up to I want to say 6 months when you freeze it.
Hmm.
That may, I mean, give or take a little bit, but
Right.
luckily it's about to be summertime again, so we can go to the farmer's market and the grocery store start to have more fruits, and I'm looking forward to watermelon season. So I
Yes.
love watermelon.
Yeah, I'm here. So while we're taping this, our peach trees and our
Oh man.
plum trees are all leafing out. And
Oh,
yes, we do have a freeze coming. So I'm hoping that
yeah.
it doesn't mess anything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Was it
love the fruit.
this weekend or next week it's supposed to freeze?
Yeah, I can't remember. It might be midweek.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hope they survive.
Yes, thank you. Me too. So some people don't like to eat sweet things for breakfast if
Yeah.
they're eating a sausage or chicken biscuit. And so a lot of times I eat soup, and that sounds really bizarre, but I say don't knock it till you try it. Or even like a tofu scramble. That is
Yes.
delicious.
Oh yeah.
That's my daughter's favorite is a tofu scramble. Peppers and onions, mash up tofu in the pan, sprinkle on some nutritional yeast,
Hmm.
and add a little bit of liquid aminos, give it a little salty taste and some garlic.
Yes,
Stir
great.
in some spinach.
Yes, it's like a vegetable stir fry almost. You can make it into so
Yes, yes. So something like that, or like my breakfast soup, I always use greens. No, I love greens. I really think everyone should have greens 3 times a day. So greens in your smoothie, greens in your breakfast soup, greens in your tofu scramble, even just a side of steamed greens is good too.
yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds really weird, but we're one of the only countries that doesn't eat a savory breakfast.
Yeah. Is it I think want to say Japan, they do breakfast soups too, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, miso soup for breakfast.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is funny in America, the typical breakfast is going to be something either fatty or sweet. So a lot of adults will have eggs and bacon. They'll feed their kids Fruit Loops or something with orange juice.
Right.
So I mean, you're
Yes.
setting your day if all those are inflammatory. So you're starting out your morning with inflammatory foods,
Hmm.
and then your lunch is probably going to be, I don't know, fast food. I'm just talking about typical Americans, and then we wonder
Yeah.
why we're one of the sickest countries.
Right. Yeah. If you start your day with a sausage biscuit or chicken biscuit, and then you go to work, and then you go to eat something, then you're going to definitely have inflammatory foods unless you brought a healthy lunch with you,
Yeah,
which if you're starting with chicken biscuit or sausage biscuit, you probably didn't do.
yeah,
And at school, kids sandwich and chips.
yeah. School lunches. Ugh.
Yeah, the school lunches. Yes. And they say they're improving the lunches, but when I look at the lunch menus, it is not healthy. At ours, I haven't looked recently, but last year, they have to have a fruit with their breakfast. Well, their fruit could be raisins, which doesn't sound too bad, but they
Yeah.
are sour raisins. And so they're like gummy bears, but they're raisins. I was like, how can you possibly call this their fruit? They're giving them candy disguised as fruit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's sad. Yes.
You
Oh,
can't
but
just
we're
give them
getting
an
you to eat
apple
their
or
fruit.
something.
No, I know. When we have kids over, even before we even ate this way, if you chop up a bunch of fruit, put it in a bowl and stick it on a table in front of a bunch of kids, they're not going to say no. They're going to eat all that fruit. They love the fruit. Kids
Fruit's
love fruit.
delicious, man.
Yes. Yes.
I still believe fruit's one of our best foods.
Very high in water, very high in vitamins. Yes, very nourishing.
And a lot of people are scared of fruit because they say the high sugar content, but it's natural sugar. And I know, but the thing is, it's combined with fiber and phytonutrients. Just like we want to talk about herbs, it has everything. It works together. It doesn't raise your blood sugar that high for most people. And
Right. Right.
so,
Yeah. If you are already suffering with insulin resistance or diabetes, and it's important to, or even something like bacterial overgrowth or candida or something like that, then
yeah,
you do want to remove it just for a short while,
yeah.
but then it's not permanent.
Mm-mm,
It's not forever.
mm-mm.
Yeah, you remove them while you recover, restore balance to everything, and then you start slowly adding them back in, and then you can enjoy them, because you don't want to you don't want to eliminate something like that, something that's so nutritious.
No, there's studies showing that people who eat more fruit usually live longer.
Mhm.
It's so important. And I mean, there's a lot of people that do not touch fruit.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So another thing that was hard for us was the gluten, was bread,
Yes.
because
God,
we'd have
yes.
bread. And so when you think about it, if you have a biscuit or toast for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, pizza or pasta for dinner, I mean, or a roll with whatever you're eating. A lot of my clients, they have trouble because they're used to eating crackers with soups and
Yeah.
things like that. And so that is really difficult, just because it's just become part of what we're eating. And I think a lot of it stems from the food guide pyramid, the one that we grew up with. So it's different
Yeah.
now, but it's different, but not better.
Yeah.
The base was always a picture of bread and pasta, and they'd say grains.
Hmm.
And so those are made from grains, but they're highly processed foods that spike blood sugar and create inflammation. And so we were taught that the base of your meals should include breads and pastas and grains. And so we all got used to eating grains 3 times a day. Well, the reason why I said it today is not necessarily better is now it says at least 50% should be whole grain.
Yeah.
So that means 50% doesn't have to be whole grain. I'm like, what?
Well, then, if you're looking at your conventional wheat, you're also getting a healthy dose of Roundup. So,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Do not do it. Do not do it. Mm-mm.
and I'm with you, Jennifer, when we first went plant-based, and I still miss wheat sometimes,
I do too. I do
but
too. Smelling a loaf of bread.
oh
Ugh.
yeah. Oh yeah. But some of the gluten-free is not healthy,
Mm-mm.
but some of the, I mean, like, the bread we had in Utah was really good.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
there are gluten-free crackers, but eventually, if you stay with this lifestyle long enough, I don't really have grain. I mean, I'll have some rye sometimes, but I don't really have a
Right.
lot of grains anymore. It's mostly
Yeah, I don't
vegetables and
either.
fruit, and you know,
Hmm. Yeah, I'll have rice maybe 2 or 3 days a month,
yeah.
and quinoa
Oh yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 days a month. And then oat groats, sprouted oat groats. I'll have them. Depends on where I am. Like right now I'm in a cleanse. I'm not having any of those. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just to help keep things moving along. But you can get lots of B vitamins and folate, which is a B vitamin, and fiber, from your greens. And so don't eliminate them completely unless you have to.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things like wheat, then
Yeah.
no one should. All wheat has been hybridized. Even the people will say the ancient grains
Yeah.
should be safe. It's not. If gluten is an issue for you, which according to several doctors it is, um, even the ancient grains, they still have contained those same proteins. They're going to activate the same inflammatory response. And so wheat is just not your friend. They unfortunately it's been transformed. Now people will say they can go to Europe and eat gluten and feel fine. And I don't know much about the science there.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think the science now is saying that everybody's got certain intolerance to gluten. It may be small for some people, and some
Mhm.
people have big problems with it,
Yes.
but
And where are you on the spectrum?
yeah,
Yeah. And so it's kind of like banging your knee. You
yeah.
get up and bang your knee in the morning and it heals. Well, that's what's happening on your insides when you eat wheat. You
Hmm.
get up the next morning, you bang your knee again, or you eat the wheat again, you get the next morning, you bang your knee again, eventually it doesn't heal.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with your insides. So you don't necessarily feel it because we don't feel those same nerves. We don't feel it
Yeah.
damaging the lining until it gets too far along. And it might not be like a stomach pain. It can be an autoimmune reaction. It can be allergy type symptoms. It can be
Yeah.
headaches. It can be brain fog. It's not necessarily a stomach issue. So people will say, I don't have any problems with gluten, but meanwhile their shoulder's hurting. Well, they
Yeah.
don't realize that shoulder pain is related to the gluten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people with arthritis, I've had, I've talked to them, they'll eat gluten and then their knee
Yeah.
starts to hurt because it's inflammatory.
Yeah.
It makes me, if I haven't eaten it in a long time, but I started to notice I was having problems. I would eat something with wheat and I would get really tired and I would
Hmm.
bloat. My stomach would bloat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, and a lot is even related to behavioral problems. If you take a
yeah,
child off of gluten for a week, it's amazing how their behavior can change. Yeah, so it's crazy. So we should probably get into some specifics. So
yeah,
if you wanted to make a sandwich or a wrap, not using gluten. So let's talk about gluten-free bread real quick before we do that. So gluten-free bread we're saying is not necessarily healthy because it is a highly processed food. Gluten-free bread is usually made with rice flour, potato flour, maybe tapioca flour, but you hear the word flour. They've been ground really fine so that it's nice and tender bread, which tastes delicious. But when you grind a rice, which can already be blood sugar elevating, and it's usually a white rice. They do make brown rice flours, but they grind it all up really small and it's
yeah,
easily digested, easily absorbed, and that can really spike blood sugars and create inflammation. And so a lot of times some people will switch to gluten-free breads. And so they don't choose anything healthier. All they do is swap from whole grain wheat bread to a gluten-free bread and then they get sick. And
yeah,
it's because you just swapped your whole grain bread for sugar. And so
yeah.
while we're saying don't eat that whole grain wheat bread, we're also saying don't eat that gluten-free bread either. So that being said, if you were going to have a sandwich or a wrap, what would you use?
Well, romaine lettuce is a good one.
Oh yeah.
Lettuces, you can use like those sturdy romaine lettuces for your wrap. Um,
Or even like a taco shell.
Taco shell, yeah.
Yeah, I like to use romaine for like tacos.
And it's good. I mean, it actually can taste the taco better on
Yes, which
because
we'll have to talk about that too, because
yeah,
our plant-based tacos, not your Taco Bell.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, walnut meat, not ground beef.
Yes. I like I keep saying I don't want to use brand names. There are some almond wraps
Ah,
that you can get in the freezer section. They're made out of
yeah.
almonds and some coconut wraps. Um, so those are good. I wouldn't say they're the healthiest, but they're much better than a gluten-free bread. You can make lentil wraps. Just Google lentil wrap or go to YouTube and lentil wrap, and you can see where you can grind lentils and mix them with water in your blender and makes like a batter and make a wrap
Wow.
out of that. So it's super easy, almost like making pancakes, but you're making them with lentils. I have
Huh.
to look into that a little bit though, because I'm thinking they're not soaked and not cooked. And so my only concern is how healthy is that? I don't know. I wouldn't eat raw lentils. I do eat them sprouted, so
Yeah.
maybe they're okay. But I like collard leaves. I'll
Yes.
buy the smaller collard leaves, the big ones, they're kind of huge. Lettuce leaves, the romaine. So I think for best, I would like those. I'll even use nori sheets. I love nori sheets. And what we made the other night was we had romaine and then we tore nori into like a strip. Do y'all know what nori is? Nori is seaweed. This is the same seaweed you use to make like sushi that's on your sushi, but it's very high in minerals, and iodine. And so we lay down the leaf and then we put a strip of that for the nutrition, but it also keeps any sauces from going through. So it's a little bit cleaner because it can be messy using that. Some people use cucumber boats. Some people use jicama. I've had trouble with that. Like, I don't know if you've tried making things with jicama. And sometimes we'll even fill like a bell pepper. I love stuffed bell
Oh
peppers.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think those are some good ideas. Um, if you're using breadcrumbs, I know that was one thing that I struggled with at first too, but now I don't make casseroles that would need breadcrumbs. But you can make breadcrumbs from chickpeas. It's super easy. You just strain them. Open up a can of organic, only buy organic beans. We talked about that in another episode, but strain them and then put them in a food processor or mash them really well and then spread them on on parchment paper on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven at like 300 for 10 minutes and then
Mhm.
take them out, put them back in the food processor, blend it again, spread it out, stick it back in. It takes about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to get them good and dry. But then all it is chickpeas, but you just keep alternating, grind them a little bit so that you don't get clumps. But that was my favorite way to make croutons or breadcrumbs. But I don't have a reason to use them now. But it could be a good salad topping.
Yeah.
Or maybe on soups too. I haven't thought about that.
And if you still, I mean, there's certain casseroles you can make that are pretty good.
Yes, yeah, because I said I don't like macaroni and cheese, but I do make almost like a macaroni and cheese that has winter squash in it.
Oh, okay.
It's really good, and so that would probably be good with chickpea breadcrumbs on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never heard the chickpea thing. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and then you can add spices, if you want like Italian seasoning or garlic seasoning in there. And it's so easy. Like it sounds complicated because you're all you're doing is food processor to pan, food
Yeah.
processor to pan. So it's really easy.
Yeah.
Then sometimes we just use sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds instead of breadcrumbs, and especially on salads or in soups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's a brand, I keep saying I don't want to use brands, but Parma is a vegan Parmesan cheese. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's
I
made out of
have.
cashews. Yeah, that's pretty good. So what do you tell someone who they like their coffee, which coffee is controversial, and they want to put creamer in their coffee?
Well, this isn't like the healthiest option, but I'll say try some almond milk first. Or even there are some plant-based coffee creamers, but they still got the gums and everything in them.
Yeah, I haven't seen any that are clean.
Mm-mm.
Canned coconut milk.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, but then it has the coconut flavor.
Yeah,
And
people don't
so,
like it.
yeah, people don't like that. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if I have any really good alternatives for that, but it's not a good choice anyway.
It's not. I mean, well, we're not supposed to do products, but is a product called Nut Pods, and they're decently clean.
Hmm.
But with coffee, coffee's so controversial. I recommend that people try to phase it out because I mean, there's studies. One day there's a study coffee's good. Another study says coffee's bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good for your adrenal glands because it's just
No,
so
it's not.
potent.
Oh,
So
yeah, it's terrible for your adrenals.
if you have like any autoimmune problems or anything like that, I really don't think you should drink it,
Yes. Yeah. And if you have if you have an estrogen type cancer in your family
Yeah.
or in your body, if you've ever been told you have estrogen dominance or prostate condition or fibroids,
Yeah.
then caffeine is definitely not your friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
No caffeine. And decaf is not caffeine free. Decaf is less caffeine. And so that's not a good option either. Yeah. It's funny. I always think I'm addicted to coffee, but I'm addicted to the hot milk that I put in the coffee. I mean, that was for me. I said for me, dairy was the hardest to give up. I
Yeah.
was a big milk drinker. I was
Yeah.
a huge milk drinker. I never drank milk. Like I hated milk until I went to camp, like fourth grade. It was a way camp, and you couldn't leave the table till you drank your milk. And we would have milk, I guess 3 times a day. I don't know. But I know I came home and all I wanted was milk. And my mom started buying, and she couldn't believe how much milk. She was like, how did you left hating milk and now you drink all this milk, and milk's good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Strong
strong
bones,
bones,
strong
strong
teeth.
teeth.
Yeah.
Yes. And so then I turned into, like, my kids are literally 90% chocolate milk because I drank chocolate milk nonstop when I was pregnant with them. Not healthy. So I think with the coffee, I was addicted to whatever milk I put in there, and I would go off coffee. And then, like, right now, going through my cleanse, coffee, I don't even want it. Like, I don't want coffee at all. But it was hard to taper off. And then I realized, you know what? It's the milk that I'm adding. And I was putting almond milk or oat milk in
Yeah.
mine. And I like soy milk. I really like soy milk, but I make my own soy milk.
Yeah.
I really like soy milk. And so it's just something comforting, I think. And so I think that, sometimes we think it's the coffee, but maybe it's the stuff we're putting in it.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Because there's evidence that some of your even black tea has some nutrients that are good for you, but there's studies showing that if you mix it with milk, it negates those. It
Yes,
blocks
you
the
lose
nutrient
it.
absorption. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah,
I
dairy's
saw
bad
that too.
news, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
no dairy, no dairy. Because I mean, so dairy traditionally wasn't heated and pasteurized. Now it's heated and pasteurized. Like, if you see, like, you can even just Google raw milk and store-bought milk. There's plenty of videos that show, if you put raw milk out on the counter and leave it, then it changes, it ferments, you get it like a yogurt or sour cream or whatever. But you put a store-bought milk on the counter, what happens in 3 or 4 days? You have this horrible disgustingness over here that doesn't turn into anything healthy. It's because everything's been killed. There's no live
yeah,
enzymes. There's absolutely nothing nutritional about a store-bought dairy. And
yeah.
I don't drink any dairy at all, and I don't promote drinking any dairy, not even the raw. But if you were going to have any dairy, you need to get it straight from the farm, raw.
And even then, it's illegal for most states to give you raw dairy. So it's just
Yeah, for pet consumption only.
yeah. Yeah, I need it for my dog.
Yeah,
So
there are people that do that.
yeah, well, good for the
Yes.
dog. Probably. Well, I don't know. I don't know how dogs doing. I don't think dairy's good for anything but a baby cow. But
Yeah, as Dr. Schultz says, if you can't give up anything, if you can only give up one thing, then it needs to be the dairy first. And he
yeah,
picked the dairy over everything else. Yeah. So we talked about creamer, and then we talked a little bit about milk too. So when you're buying a milk, don't get the dairy. But when you look at the plant-based, always flip the box over and read the ingredients. The front can tell you anything that they want to tell you, but you've got to read the ingredients and look for fillers, look for gums, look for sugar. I cannot believe how many. It'll say plain on the front, but when you flip it over, it has added sugar. And so
yeah.
you don't want anything like that. Make your own. It's really, really easy to make your own. I have my Soya Bella, which was like $79, which might sound expensive, but if you drink it every day or use it every day for overnight oat bowls and things like that, then it might be worth it for you. But you can even just make it in your blender with any kind of nuts. Like, I think told everybody before, a tablespoon of nut butter, almond butter, and a cup of milk, blend it in your blender, and it gets nice and frothy and thick. And there you have 1 cup of almond milk. Yeah, it doesn't get much
Simple,
easier than that. Yeah.
simple and easy, and that's really their best bet.
Yes. Yes. So butter.
Yeah, okay. Well, there are a lot of great plant-based butters on the market, but they're not healthy either.
Right. Right.
And I saw a recipe. I know you don't eat corn, but there is a recipe for corn butter. I've
Hmm.
never tried it, but it's supposed to be really good. It's all whole foods.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure you could. You probably make something with nuts, maybe. Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Probably. I was thinking more avocado.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, avocado. A lot of people use coconut oil. I'm not really big into eating oils.
No.
But coconut oil. Um, yeah, other than that, for butter, I use a nut butter or I use avocado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avocado, it's got the same consistency, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Mash it all up.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah. For flour, I don't like flours. Maybe a bean flour. Better would be an almond flour. And then even better using nuts and seeds. If we make brownies, cookies, cakes, any of that stuff, we always use um, flax seeds, chia seeds, things like that. And yes, we do eat cakes and brownies and cookies. They just aren't the same as what the standard American eats.
Yeah, and
But
then
they're
but
still delicious.
yeah, they're delicious, and they're
Yes.
not contributing to your inflammation or your insulin resistance.
Yes.
I mean,
We are
nothing's
hitting
worth that.
we're hitting birthday season. So we have 7 or 8 birthdays in the next 12 weeks. And
Wow.
so I will be making a lot of different desserts as I'm going through my cleanse.
Yeah, so you can't eat them.
Well, I'm gonna make with my brother a raw vegan cheesecake that's gluten free.
Sounds good.
Yes, and so I'm making that this weekend. So I think I can still eat that. I don't think I'll put
Yeah.
anything in it that will not fit on my cleanse.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Yogurt. I do make my own yogurt. There are some yogurts out there. We talked about that. Make sure you read the ingredients. But it's super, super easy. If you soak some nuts, like for me, I like coconut hemp seed yogurt, but you could just do coconut. I like hemp seeds because they're so high in omega-3s, but I will soak a cup of cashews and then I will blend them with a half a cup of hemp seeds and about a cup of water. And I just blend it until it's really smooth. And then I'll add in 2 capsules of probiotic. I just open up the capsules,
Mhm.
add them in real quickly because I don't want it to get hot. And as soon as the blender will heat up, and then I'll put them in a jar and stick it in my dehydrator for about 10 hours. And then I have yogurt. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's quick and easy and nothing in it except cashews and hemp seeds and probiotics. So it's really easy. If you do want a dairy-free yogurt, usually a coconut yogurt or almond yogurt are gonna be cleaner than the others. But once again, always check your ingredients and make it yourself if you can. I mean, how easy is that? Throw them in the blender, stick it in the dehydrator. So people think I can't make yogurt. That's a time consuming and it's not. All right. So cheese. We mentioned nutritional yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Parma. And so nutritional yeast can be controversial too. It has usually fortified with B vitamins, but you can find some that are not. Um, we do use nutritional yeast quite often. I'm not right now on my cleanse, but we do use it often.
Oh, me too. I was making this cheese sauce. It was used potatoes and carrots and onion powder. It had a lot of good ingredients and nutritional yeast, and it thickens up because of the potatoes.
Uh-huh.
It's
It's
pretty good.
delicious.
I think even somebody who likes cheese would like this sauce.
Yes.
You
I
so
think
you've made it.
yes, I have. I think there's
Yeah.
a recipe on the Game Changers website
Yeah.
that has the same one. And sometimes I'll add like a half a bell pepper. It gives a little
Yeah.
sweetness and it gives it kind of a red color. And so then it's like a queso, but
Hmm.
it's delicious
It
over
is
wraps and things. Oh, so yummy. A Buddha
shocking how
bowl.
good. Yeah, I think
Yes.
it has a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it, and
Yeah,
I
it
had
is.
it
It's a
memorized. It's
tangy.
good. It's good, and I
Uh-huh.
think anybody will like it. So
I do too. Yeah, I really do like that.
yeah,
Yeah, so cheese sauce is going to be much better than trying to buy a grated vegan cheese. You're just not going to find one that's healthy.
not right now. I mean, I heard there's companies working on making cleaner vegan cheeses, but we're not there yet. So
Right. What about pasta?
pasta, I like. There's bean pastas now. Some people don't like the taste, but I think they're great. There's some made with lentils or some made with chickpeas, black beans.
Yes.
And the protein content is really high for people that like to get their protein fix. I think those are
Yes.
better. Um,
Yeah,
I
I
will
do.
have
I like
brown
those
rice
too.
pasta sometimes, but I don't do a lot of pasta.
Yeah, we don't either. Well, actually, I've been doing a ton, and I'll explain that in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over my zoodles at the moment, but a lot of people switch from regular pasta to gluten-free pasta. There's like the corn and rice pastas. And those are going to spike blood sugars. Those are not going to be any healthier. But I think I love the bean.
Yeah.
There's bean, there's soy, which is a bean, and lentil.
Yeah.
So those are good. Better would be konjac noodles or shirataki noodles or kelp noodles.
Yeah.
They're a little more whole, or spiralizing. So that's what I'm saying. I'm over my zoodles. For some reason, during this first week of my deep cleanse, every night I had some kind of squash noodle or zucchini noodle every night. And I am one of those who loves variety. And
Yeah.
I use different sauces and flavors and textures with it every night. But it's like, oh my gosh, I am so over the zoodles. And then I looked at my menu for tonight and it is ginger noodles. I'm like, what? But luckily I have some shirataki noodles. So I'm not gonna do squash or zucchini tonight. I'm gonna do the shirataki noodles. But you can get these. I got this grater on Amazon. It was like $10. It's stainless steel, and one side is like a potato peeler side, and the
Yeah.
other side can make like spaghetti noodles. It's
Oh,
got
wow.
like little spikes, and you just like your regular. So I made wraps the other day, and so
Yeah.
I did carrots. So it's finely shredded carrot, and I did cucumber. So it's finely shredded cucumber. So it was like cucumber noodles and carrot noodles with the zucchini noodles. You could do some radish. You could do beets. Anyway, so you get these beautiful colors, and they're just these fine little noodles to make like a sesame salad or something. Anyway, so that would be best. Would be using vegetable noodles, and then I have a spiralizer
Yeah.
that you
Hmm.
cut half. You cut the vegetable in half and stick it on there, and you spiralize, and then you get these like spaghetti noodles. And so normally I love my zucchini noodles. I'm just kind of over them for right now. So what about tacos? The ground beef.
Well, there is a fine recipe using walnuts, and I'm telling you, and you use the same spices that you use in beef. It tastes like beef.
Yes.
At least to
Yes.
me, I haven't had beef in years, but it really tastes good.
We use the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Sometimes I'll add in some ground or grated cauliflower.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah. So then it kind of cuts, because I mean that's a lot of walnuts if you
Oh
eat
yeah, it is.
several tacos or a taco salad or
Yeah.
nachos or something like that. And you can sneak them in. No one knows the cauliflower is even in there.
And then we just add the regular ingredients. After I do the lettuce, I do a little bit. I love guacamole, so I'll have a little bit of that. I'll have some
Yes.
tomatoes, some onion, whatever you like, and
Hmm.
it's just as good as I think it's better than the old standby tacos that contribute to disease. So
Yes. We probably do that once a week.
yeah,
Either taco, usually a taco salad, but it could be a taco wrap. I think this week we did taco wrap, but usually with a cheese sauce.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the walnut tacos or walnut wrap. Yes. Delicious. Some people use TVP. What are your thoughts on TVP?
Well, it is another processed food.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have it. I mean, you having it here and there is not going to kill you, but
Mhm.
always try to get people to transition. The ultimate goal is to like eat mostly whole foods.
Yeah. You could mash up the tofu like in tofu scramble
Yes.
and
Yes.
use that. We've used that as a meat a few times. I do have TVP. I use it just occasionally. When we
Yeah.
first switched, I bought it and it lasts a long time. It's definitely shelf stable. But we'll even add it to chili sometimes or something. We
Mhm.
haven't in years, but we used to add it to chili so that it was like a meat chili.
I think it's 10 times better for you than beef. So,
Yes, yes.
I
Um,
mean,
and another alternative could be chopped mushrooms.
yes, mushrooms are very meaty. Their texture.
Yes, yes. But yeah, I think I like walnuts the best whenever I'm doing a meat swap. Um,
Lentils, you can do, I've used lentils for Sloppy Joes before.
oh yes,
They're
sloppy
decent.
joes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, lentils. Yeah, we do use lentils a lot. for a lot of different dishes actually. And you can write like making burgers,
Yeah.
lentil burgers. That's so easy. For lentil burgers, for those of you out there, you can just cook a couple lentils, strain it, put it in your food processor, and add in a nut butter. Sounds crazy. And add in spices, garlic, onion, some herbs, blend it all up in your food processor till it's smooth, and then just form them into patties on parchment paper
Uh-huh.
and bake them. And then you
Sounds
have a little burger. It looks like a burger.
sounds
So
delicious.
it's so easy. I use tahini,
Yeah.
but you could use any nut or seed butter. Yeah, that's really yummy and so easy.
Yeah.
Eggs. What do you use in place of eggs?
Well, there's lots of different things, but I mainly stick to ground flax seeds. Or are we talking about in baking or
Yeah,
just
yeah, either.
you can use the ground flax, you can use chickpea juice, or they call
Yeah,
it aquafaba.
aquafaba.
Yeah, that
Yes,
stuff works really good. It even whips up like egg whites. You ever tried that?
yes, I
It's
have.
crazy.
It is. Yeah, you can make like a meringue.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love the aquafaba. Yeah, but I use chia seeds or flax seeds. Sometimes in baking, I'll use some banana or some applesauce, but usually I'll use a chia seed or flax seed.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to make like scrambled eggs or frittata or quiche, then tofu or chickpeas. And
Yeah.
so you can do the same thing. Like you can make a tofu scramble, but you could also put everything in like a can of chickpeas in a blender with spices and use that. So if you can't have soy, there are people with soy allergies, then you can always use chickpeas. I make frittatas with chickpeas out of the blender. Yeah, that's delicious.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen that before. I haven't tried it, but it looks just like a egg dish.
yeah, you don't know that it's not eggs.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no cheese either, which is strange for a quiche or frittata, but not for me.
Well, if somebody could use a cheese sauce, maybe if they just couldn't go without cheese, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, eventually you get to where I don't
Yeah.
crave cheese anymore.
No, it's actually grosses me out now.
Oh yeah, it smells like rotten. It is rotten. It's like, oh,
It is. Yes. Yeah. What do you use for crackers?
mm, I don't really eat them anymore. If I do, it'll
Yeah,
be
I don't
something like
either.
Mary's Stone crackers because
That's what I was gonna say
pretty,
too.
pretty pure, that product.
Yes. Yeah,
Uh,
that's usually what I use with clients.
yeah,
Yeah, as a transition. Mary's Gone Crackers. For those of you who don't know, look them up. Mary's Gone Crackers. We are not affiliated with them or anything, but they're made out of seeds. They do have a little bit of rice flour in there to help bind it together, but they have different flavors and they're just seeds. They're
yeah,
delicious. Yeah. Other than that, I make my own. I'll make
yeah,
chia seed crackers or flax seed crackers. We had them at school.
yeah.
And then other than that, I use just sliced vegetables.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like if I'm having hummus, I don't need a cracker. I just chop broccoli or chop carrots or chop bell pepper.
Yeah, some of these things just go by the wayside once you do it so long. Like I don't crackers isn't even on my radar anymore. I just,
Yeah.
you know,
And I used to eat them a lot, but yeah, I don't need
yeah.
them anymore. What are some other foods? Soy sauce. So soy sauce has a lot of additives and is always made with wheat,
Mm.
unless it says wheat free. So you can get tamari that's wheat free. I like liquid aminos, Bragg's liquid aminos. I don't know how you feel about that.
I like them, but I also like coconut aminos. You ever seen those?
Yes, I had that last night on
Yeah,
my zoodles.
yeah. The only thing with Bragg's is the salt content is kind of up there, but the coconut aminos has a lot less sodium.
Yes.
I try to
Yes.
watch salt too.
The cocoa aminos taste like teriyaki sauce to me.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, it's really good. I like it a lot. And what about salad dressing?
I usually make a salad dressing. Easy is like, well, nutritional yeast. I probably eat too much nutritional yeast, but Dr. Fearman has a lot of good salad dressing recipes. I use some
Yeah.
of his. They're starting to have some healthy, is it Bragg's? Yes, Bragg's. They make it pretty healthy when it's a vinaigrette. All it is I think it's like a little bit of olive oil and apple cider vinegar and maybe some spices in it if you want to go the commercial route.
I'll have to
They're
look at
hard to
that.
find in the grocery store, but you can order them.
Hmm.
But I know you make a lot of dressings, don't
I
you?
make all of mine. Yeah, but I will look at that Bragg's because
Yeah.
when we travel or when my husband goes to Atlanta a couple days a week, he used to always keep balsamic vinegar in his truck.
Yeah.
And so he would just have his own, but something like that, if he could have that, that would be good.
Hmm.
Like if I go to a Chinese restaurant or something, I will bring my own, I'll bring cocoa aminos in a little, I'll put it in a herb jar,
Yeah.
because then I can cap it and it's easy to bring in and then I just order steamed vegetables with no sauce and then I can just put that on.
Yeah.
Yes. But so I do for salad dressings, I make all my own salad dressings. So it's nice to have something like that, even though it's commercial,
Hmm.
that you could just keep with you. So the easiest one is not mine. I don't know where I learned this, but it's 3-2-1. It's 3 tablespoons of vinegar or lemon juice. It's 2 tablespoons of a sweetener. I don't usually do 2 tablespoons. I might be backwards. It's 3 tablespoons of an acid, so vinegar or lemon or lime. 2 tablespoons of a mustard, so it could be Dijon, yellow, whole grain, whatever, and then 1 tablespoon of sweetener, and I usually will cut that in half. So, like our favorite is apple cider vinegar, Dijon mustard, and maple syrup, and I'll do just a half a tablespoon of the maple syrup, and then you can add herbs to it. You can flavor it up, put in some Italian seasoning, and it tastes delicious. But that wasn't my recipe. It's just
Yeah.
one that I've just always remembered that we would do. But I haven't made it in a while. And I like to make them with tahini. Like I'll make almost the same thing, but I'll add tahini to it.
Yeah.
So then it's nice and creamy. It's
Hmm.
delicious. Yeah. So some more garlic.
Oh
And
yeah.
what do you do for French fries? I can't give up my French fries. I eat French fries every day.
Um, buy potatoes, and there's one recipe I have made. You slice your potatoes up, you blanch them for about 5 minutes in hot water. Then you put them in a bowl and you add spices. I can't remember all the spices. And you add it and you shake it up with a lid on top and you shake it and then you bake them. Oh my God, they're delicious. They're like potato wedges, or I mean, you can cut them thinner. That's what I usually do.
Hmm.
What about you?
But now I'm wanting those French
Yeah,
fries.
I know you are.
Yes. But yeah, so we do something like that. My daughter, she Googled like barbecue potato chip seasoning.
Oh,
And so
yum.
she'll use something. So it has a lot of smoked paprika and stuff like that in there. And so we do like to do that on
Sounds
our
good.
French fries. But then we'll do sweet potato
Oh
fries.
yeah.
And then if we are going through some sort of cleanse, like I'm doing now, which we do twice a year,
Yeah.
then we'll make zucchini fries.
Oh, okay.
So instead of the potatoes, we'll use zucchini. Um, Trying to think of what else. But yeah, I've never blanched them like that, but that's a great idea. So I'm definitely gonna have to do that.
It makes them more crisp when you blanch them. It's a
Yeah.
recipe. The guy, his website was brand new vegan. He's got a lot of good recipes. He's more of like a McDougall, the McDougall diet.
Yeah, starch diet.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's got a lot of good recipes on there, a lot of good sauces on there because he's low fat.
Hmm.
So, uh, yeah, I mean, I'll eat them a lot, but I love those potatoes like that.
And so I think you might think of something else, but I think the last one we need to talk about is pizza.
Yes. Well, that's a tough one,
Hmm.
but you can make crusts out of nuts or cauliflower if you
Hmm.
know how to make your own crusts.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I actually have a video up. I used a box mix. I'm trying to remember whose it was. They're not always really good. But if you buy you can get like a King Arthur
Yeah.
gluten-free pizza crust.
Yeah.
And then I would add, instead of the eggs, I would use the ground chia seeds. So if you're to replace one egg, is 2.5 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds to make one egg. And so I would replace that. And then I usually will add some ground cauliflower to it to give it some moisture.
Hmm.
But I'll do that. But sometimes you can get a really tough. It can be really tough.
Yeah.
So you just like you want that chewy crust, but this is like ridiculous. Yeah. So it is difficult to find one that you can has the right mouth feel
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can still pick it up. I would do make one with buckwheat. Um, where I soak the buckwheat and then I grind it in the blender and make a dough that way. But you have to be able to make your own, really.
Well, the most successful one I've done, and it's not, it's the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free all-purpose flour. I know it's not the healthiest, but it makes a really good pizza crust.
Hmm.
And we would use, of course, after that, you would put your tomato sauce or your pizza sauce, your vegetables. And we actually made a cheese using nutritional yeast. And like you mix it with tapioca. I can't remember exactly, but it made it like
Chewy.
chewy. And it was
Hmm.
delicious. I remember years ago we ate that. We made it for my wife's dad, and we went over there one night for dinner. He loved it.
Yeah.
It's really good, but I mean it's
Uh,
not. But doing like a Whole Foods crust, I mean, I don't really try to do that. I mean, I'm sure somebody knows how to make a really good one, but I don't really.
yeah. And the buckwheat is the best one that I could come up with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
worked good.
I'm not ready to demo that one for a YouTube video yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Not quite good enough for that yet.
Well, there's a new product on the market. Have you heard of Miyoko's butter, the plant-based butter?
Yes.
She
Hmm.
has a pourable cheese now, and
Oh.
you pour it on pizza, and it's supposed to cook up like dairy cheese. And it's supposed to go like a lot of restaurants are going to adopt it. Now, this is not
Hmm.
healthy, but I heard it's supposed to cook up like dairy cheese. And it just come out, I don't know, last year.
Hmm.
But I know I'm off topic. We're supposed to talk about Whole Foods. I'm just saying if you have one of those days where today I'm gonna have.
Yes, and it's always progress over perfection. You don't have
Oh
to be
yeah.
perfect.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
perfect every day. And one of my addictions is chocolate chips. And you can get dairy-free chocolate chips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can get Lily's and they even have some stevia in them.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so I like dark chocolate, but anyway, we all have our vices and
Oh yeah.
we're not perfect by any means. None of us is. That's why
Well,
we're
I
here.
think if you try to be perfect, it might ruin your whole goal.
Yeah, that can be even worse.
I'd rather
Yeah.
see somebody eat clean 80% of the time than not ever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. But then cleanse.
Yes.
Do a cleanse at least once, preferably twice or 4 times a year, seasonally if you can.
Yeah,
Just to clean things up and work things out because we're all exposed to so many different things.
I know.
And we're not all eating perfect all the time. And we do need to get things out. Anyway, can you think of any other foods that we did not discuss that may be important?
Um, well, I mean, we could go into desserts, but that would be probably another video.
A whole nother, yes.
I think we covered a lot on this one. I
I
feel
think
good
we did
about
too.
it.
Yes, I think this gets everyone on a good start to
Yes,
eating
I do. Yeah.
healthier. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this video, please let us know. If you have some other food swap suggestions, put that in the comments. We want to hear from you. Thank you for joining us today.
See you next week.